Hello, my name is Mike Enriquez. I'm a Florida State University student, and today I will be giving a short presentation on XML and XML Schema. This is for my COP 4020 Programming Languages class in the fall of 2012. I'll start off with a little bit about myself. Like I said, I'm currently a FSU distance learning student. Basically means I'm online, pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. Currently employed at Harris as a Software Tech A. Upon graduating, I will become a software engineer at Harris with a specialization in systems engineering, essentially making me a systems software engineer. A little bit more about myself. I live in Melbourne, Florida. I'm married to my lovely wife Kelly with my 2 children, Tristan, who is 17, and Madison, who is 4 months. A little bit more about myself. My free time, I enjoy exercising, playing basketball, going to the gym, watching sports, of course FSU football or Orlando Magic basketball. I like to play Xbox, but I don't get very much time for that lately. I also will watch a movie every now and then, but nothing starring Nick Cage. XML and XML Schema. So what is XML? It's an extensible markup language. Okay, so what does that mean? Basically, it's a way to transport and store data over the web. It's becoming a must-have for web developers' skill set. It's very, very important in the transmission of data from website to website. XML is everywhere, even if we don't see it. A lot of times it's behind the scenes. You just wouldn't know that it was there. And the XML schema is very important in defining what a valid XML will look like. So a brief outline of what we're going to go over. We're going to start off with some HTML. HTML is another markup language, which is a good way to introduce tags. We'll look at the differences between HTML and XML. Take a look at the XML syntax, how to do a comment, an element, or an attribute, important XML uses in the creation of site maps for search engine optimization and in the web services. Then we'll get into the XML schema. We'll see what a schema is, and we'll look at the differences between a document type definition or an XML schema definition. And I have some examples sprinkled throughout the presentation, and we can see the references at the end. So a brief overview of HTML. It is a hypertext markup language. It's designed to display data. It's a language for describing and developing web pages, and markup language is a set of tags, markup tags. So what is a tag? Tags are keywords or tag names surrounded by angle brackets. So this would be the tag name, and this would be the content. This is what gets displayed on the web page. They come in pairs with a start tag and an end tag. So here's the start tag, here's the end tag. See that it matches the start tag exactly, but it also includes a / here. Sometimes they're also called opening and closing tags. And sometimes tag elements or tags are referred to as elements, but generally an element just means the entire thing here. Like this whole thing would be an element of an XML page. Again, here's another example. So see, this whole thing is an element. This is the start tag, this is the end tag, and in between is the content. This is what gets displayed. And here's a complete example. So this would be a body element, this whole thing right here, and then you have a header element which has this header start tag content when it gets displayed, the header end tag, and then a paragraph inside the page with the start tag, the end tag, the content. And here's what gets displayed when you run it. Pretty straightforward. So XML uses tags as well. However, they are not used to mark where the data is displayed, but where it will be in the transfer and how it will get transferred. So, even though they're both markup languages, there are similarities in them, XML and HTML, but they were defined for different purposes, so there are a couple differences in the two. So like we said earlier, HTML is designed to display the data. Tags are predefined, and the type of tags available is already defined. That means there's a set number of tags that you can use in an HTML page. HTML files can be run and displayed by themselves without the use of other code. But in XML, it was designed to transport and store data. XML tags are not predefined. The developer must define the tags, which means that XML is more self-descriptive. Tag names are generally chosen by the developer, and they're more descriptive about element contents. So they're not stuck with a certain set of tag names. You can name them pretty much whatever you want. As long as they have end tags, you can transport them. Another key difference is that XML file must be combined or used with other code in order to send, receive, or display the data. An XML file by itself doesn't really do anything. You need other code in order to send it somewhere or to have it displayed. So, looking at the XML syntax, XML tags are not predefined. So, like we said, you can name them whatever you need to. Since the tags are dynamically implemented, they can be more self-descriptive and less generic. So it's not just a paragraph, it's a page. We'll look at an example here of a note. So this is the HTML version. You see, here's the header you have to use, another header, the paragraph body, another paragraph. But in the XML page, you can see that the to tag takes the place of just a straight header tag. You can actually name it to. There's where to stops. The end tag. Same with from. You can actually define a heading as a heading and a paragraph as a body. So you can see the differences between the two of them. XML syntax, just like HTML. Well, actually not just like HTML. XML must have a closing tag. Sometimes in HTML you don't have to have a closing tag, but in XML you always must have one. The tags are case sensitive, which means that the start and the end tag must be identical with the addition of the /. See, this to and this to are not the same. This would cause an error when reading the XML. There are 5 predefined entity references in XML: greater than, less than, ampersand, apostrophe, quotes. However, only using the greater than and ampersand will be considered illegal, will cause an error. This is because this thinks that XML is opening another tag, which would cause an error because you haven't closed the previous tag. XML also has comments. They're just like in XML. This signifies the beginning of the comment. This is the comment itself, and then you close the comment. So an XML element, we've gone over a little bit already. There's a start and an end tag to the element. Elements can contain other elements, or they can contain text, or attributes, or a mix of all three. XML elements are extensible, which means they can be extended to carry more information. And we'll take a look at that in the next couple of examples here. So you have the movie theater, that's the XML page, or the XML file, that's the start and the end. And then you have a movie element, which has a category here, and then it has another element, a title element inside, then a director element, and then a year element, and then you close out the movie element. And here's another example of another movie. So extensible, what does that really mean? Well, say that I created an application that worked with your movie XML document to get information about movies. So you created the XML, and I'm just pulling the data from it to get information about the movies. But you have another friend that wants to pull an actor field from those movies. So you add an extra field to your movie element like this. So you can see we added a lead actor to these two movies. So the big question is, will that break my application? There's a new element in there now. I wasn't expecting it. Does anything happen to mine? Nope. That's one of the beauties of XML. It can be extensible. You can extend elements without breaking existing applications. So my application will still be able to find the data I'm looking for, even though there's additional data there. I'll just skip over that because I'm not really looking for it. So we looked at elements. Here's a little bit about attributes. You can see that this movie element has an attribute called category in it, and category is filled with some text. An attribute always has to have quotes around it in order for it to be read properly. Their purpose is to provide additional information about the elements. They're similar to elements, but there's a little bit of difference. You can't have multiple values in there, so you couldn't have another quoted thing here. Like drama or comedy, it has to be one quote. They're not expandable, which means you can't have multiple, or not multiple, but you can't have other elements inside here. It's just for an attribute, one attribute of one element here. You cannot have a tree structure in the attributes. So a couple of uses for XML. Sitemaps. Sitemap is a list of website pages that are accessible to search engine crawlers. There's two types. HTML sitemap is designed to act as an index for all links to the current web page. Basically, it helps human visitors to that web page. You can navigate every connected web page to that site from the index. XML also acts as an index, but it's specifically designed to search for search engines. So it tells the search engine which pages are contained in the site and how frequently those pages are being accessed, updated, or modified. The benefits are an increased website exposure and more accurate return results to search engine queries. Both of those are aspects of search engine optimization. Another use is web services. Web services are a method of converting existing applications into web applications. XML is the basis for this. And XML basically provides a middleman type language that can be used to transport data between different platforms and programming languages. So if you have a site that's written in .NET or an application that's written in .NET programming, and I have one that's written in Java, they'll still be able to communicate with each other with the use of XML to transport data in between them. It's used to connect those existing softwares. So a little bit about XML schema. What is a schema, first of all? Well, for computer programming purposes, a schema is referred to as the organization or structuring of data. It provides a level of consistency for data exchange. Look at that as a document type definition, or a DTD. The purpose of the DTD is to define the legal building blocks of an XML document. So what can be inside of it and what can't be. It can be declared inside the XML document or as an external reference. It's widely used when different groups of people need to agree on a standard organization of data in order to exchange that data. So you got 5 developers working on something that you want them all to adhere to a strict mapping of the XML document. You give them a DTD to define what goes where. It provides a standard definition of XML elements and attributes for all the people involved in that program. So here's a declaration. Elements are declared with an element declaration. It's just exclamation point element, and then here's your first element. It can also be empty. So an empty element, we just have empty here instead. Attributes, they're declared with an list declaration. Here's another example of one of those. Attribute type is predefined. The default value is predefined. Entities are declared with the entity declaration. Basically looks the same. Here's an example of everything. So in a newspaper example, you would have, it must have a newspaper element with at least one or more articles. The article must have a headline and a body. The headline must be in this form, which basically means it could be words and numbers, and the body is made up of words and numbers. Every article must have an author, because it's been required by the DTD, and every article will have a date on it. It's not required, but it's implied that you will find a date here. And this newspaper is going to be called the Daily Planet. There's obviously other choices for newspaper names, but this one specifically is described as the Daily Planet in the DTD. So similar to DTD is an XML schema. Schema also describes the structure of an XML document. It's referred to as a schema definition or an XSD. It's an alternative to a DTD, but proven to be much more powerful. It's got a similar format, but it's a little bit simpler. The roles define the legal building blocks of an XML document. So, looks the same a little bit. This capitalization or the font is a little bit different, but it still basically looks the same. It's just a little bit more descriptive. It's simpler to keep it all in one line. You can see the name of an element, the attribute name, it's this value, the type of this value. XSDs can use restrictions to limit data instead of regular expressions. So, like in our example for the DTD, you had to have the plus sign if you wanted to be there one or more times. In the XSD, you don't have to do that. And the types can be different. They can be simple or complex, or strict, or straight data. So here's an example That'll help clarify it, hopefully. You see this element that has a name, age, and it's got a simple type, and the base must be an integer. It could be an integer between 0 and 120. So in order to do that in a DTD, you'd have to have a couple more lines, or you'd have to have it list a regular expression. But in the XSD, you can just have it declared here like so, which is a little more simple. So here's a little difference between the two of them. XML schemas are considered to be the successors of DTDs. They're more powerful. So an advantage is that they're already written in XML, so they already use XML syntax. Editors can edit the XML and schema at the same time. You don't have to have them separate. They're extensible, which is good. We've seen that as an XML, that they can be extended to include other things while not breaking other applications. You can reuse schemas in other schemas. You can reference multiple schemas in the same document. Schemas support data types already, so you can already have straight data in them. You don't have to have them defined. So it's easier to describe allowable document content, easier to define data facets and patterns, and you can convert between different data types. So the key points of this presentation: HTML is for displaying data, while XML is for storing and transferring data. An XML document needs additional software to do the work for sending and receiving and displaying the data. XML documents are extensible. There are more prominent uses for XML is in the indexing of sitemaps, for search engine optimization, and web services. XML documents can either use a DTD or an XML schema. The role of schema is to define the legal building blocks of an XML document, and XML schemas are more powerful than DTDs.